начинается. Андрюш, что здесь, линия или микрофон?
Родной вот это линия, не знаю, что линия. Ну, это тоже, но это все английский, а Грей,
но здесь еще там оригинал. Но там микрофон.
микрофонный, да? Там микрофон?
Да. А, микрофонный. Микрофон.
Я просто подключался, у меня микрофон.
Но они же оригинальные.
Microphone check, 1 2 1 2 microphone check check microphone check.
сам не выставил. Ну, кто-нибудь подал.
Поговори, пожалуйста, с микрофоном.
Раз, два, три. Раз, два, три, четыре, пять. Раз.
Dear colleagues, we already have in our Ukraine Crisis Media Press Center ambassador. Let me introduce to you Ambassador Adam Kobieracki, who is Director of OSCE Conflict Prevention Center and Acting Chief Monitor for Special Monitoring Mission to Ukraine, which was adopted by the Parliament Council of OSCE 21st of March. So probably you would say first few words and then answer the question. Thank you.
Добрый день. Никак на русском, на польском и не на английском. Dzień dobry Państwu. Sorry, my Ukrainian is not good enough to venture press conference in Ukrainian. Just to make sure that we're talking about the same thing. I've been appointed recently the acting chief monitor of the OSCE Special Monitoring Mission. It's just an initial appointment. There will be a chief monitor appointed as a matter of a few days. So for the time being, I'm working both as acting chief monitor, that's why I'm here in Kiev, and as the director of the OSCE Conflict Prevention Center. I was told that you will get a text of the decision on the establishment of that mission, correct? So I don't need to go into the language of the decision, it's clear. Basically, the situation today. The decision was taken Friday late evening. As we stand now, we have already almost 40 people, advanced team, here in Kiev, and we expect 11 more arriving today. The first 4 advanced teams already underwent training and have left for their locations today, Tuesday, both in the east and the south of Ukraine. And by the end of this week, advanced teams will be deployed to all locations around the country, as specified in this decision. So you know those locations, 10 locations. Basically, those people, experts whom we are deploying now, these are experts from OSCE structures, OSCE unions, and other OSCE missions or field presences. But they will be soon joined by experts seconded by OSCE participating states. There is wide interest on the part of our participating states to second experts for the monitoring mission in Ukraine. It's in the making as we speak. I mean, the states are coming with names of candidates. We are screening them. They will start arriving hopefully early next week. But most important aspect, as far as I can judge from our perspective, is that we've deployed in 24 hours after the decision, first of our advanced teams. They are already working here. Once more, I'm skipping the text of the decision, what is the aim of the mission, what are the conditions, and so on, assuming that you know that from the text. Should I invite questions or simply wait for them? By the way, in terms of my credentials, I'm a Polish career diplomat who is now working for the OSCE in Vienna as the head of the Conflict Prevention Center. In the past, I also served as NATO Assistant Secretary General for Operations between 2003 and 2007. And the rest of my professional life I spent in the Polish MFA. Any questions?
Please do not forget to name yourself.
Dan McLaughlin from the Irish Times. What about Crimea?
What?
Crimea. Will he be allowed in or not?
You've seen the text of the decision.
Didn't see
So
Crimea
that's why I asked at the beginning whether you saw the decision or not.
Well, I didn't
You're
see
not prepared.
Crimea mentioned in this.
You didn't do your homework.
Well, bring me up to speed
Listen,
on
the
it.
thing is, the text of the decision is clear. This is monitoring mission to be deployed on the territory of Ukraine, full stop. At the same time, one of the operative paragraphs of the decision says that initial deployments will take place, and then there is a list of 10 locations: Kherson, Odessa, Lviv, Ivano-Frankivsk, Kharkiv, Donetsk, Dnipropetrovsk, Chernivtsi, Lugansk, and the head office will be in Kiev. Deployment to any other location will require a permanent council, OSCE permanent council decision. You draw your conclusions.
So, Armin Kupper from ZDF German television. If you say the mission is on the territory of Ukraine and Crimea is not mentioned, does that mean that Crimea is not part of the territory of Ukraine anymore?
When I say that the decision says that the mission is to be deployed on the territory of Ukraine, I mean that the mission is to be deployed on the territory of Ukraine. But to cut the long story short, of course the answer to your question depends whom you ask. Me, as a representative of the organization, I can only refer to the text of the decision that my organization adopted. And that's what I did in response to your colleague's question.
So you're not going to Crimea?
According to the decision, that out of the 10 locations that I quoted to you, my sense of Ukrainian geography is not that strong, but I wonder whether any of those cities that I mentioned are actually in Crimea. Probably not.
Carsten Günther of German Public Radio. I was wondering what the monitors will actually be doing from day to day. What's their job going to look like every day?
At the moment, we're establishing the mission, so it's a lot of stuff in terms of getting organized, getting some fundamental training about the aims of the mission, about the OSCE as such, the situation here, and so on. Then the fundamental job that we expect the monitors to do. The aim of the mission in general political language is to help reduce tension, foster peace, monitor and support the implementation of our principles and commitments. What the monitors will be expected to do will be, of course, to gather information and report on security situation, report facts in response to specific incidents and report on them, monitor and, of course, report about respect for human rights, fundamental freedoms, including those of national minorities, facilitate dialogue, reduce tension on the ground, report on any restrictions of the monitoring mission's freedom of movement. That's the text of the decision. In simple terms, this is monitoring mission. We're sending those people to monitor the situation and to report about what they see, to establish fundamental facts, to try to have as clear a picture as possible, and then from that moment on, to try to contribute to the escalation of tension and stabilization of situation here, in general political language. But if you ask about the daily routines of the monitor, it's not peacekeeping operation, it's not police mission, it's monitoring mission. Basically, we're sending monitors, observers.
So with whom will they be talking to?
Everybody. It's also in the decision that there is no restriction in the sense of they will have access to, of course, authorities, they will have access to civil society, whatever NGOs, national minorities, up to them basically to establish the pattern of their interlocutors. But they would be expected back in Vienna to come up with a reasonably comprehensive picture, so I would expect them to be quite visible all over Ukraine and to be talking to whoever they would think and have some relevant information.
Andrew Higgins, New York Times. As far as I can understand it, the OSCE tried and failed a month ago to get to Crimea. Is that right?
No.
No, there was never any attempt to...
Sorry, I'm getting questions like that, so I have to go a bit into the details of our internal kitchen. What you're referring to was never any OSCE mission. This was a group of OSCE participating states that decided to use certain, as we call them, confidence and security building measure. We negotiated them years ago. We have them together in the so-called Vienna document. And under the terms of the document, this is one of our tools, if you wish, a participating state or participating states may actually request either specific military information or access to, be it certain military facilities, or to certain area to see, it's called a military visit to dispel concerns about unusual military activities. That's exactly the mechanism that this group activated a month ago. So basically there was a request, and the group of participating states put together some military experts. At a certain point, almost 50 of them, if I'm not mistaken. And from that moment on, I agree with what you said. Yes, this group was not allowed to enter the territory of Crimea. They tried. Actually, the way it works is the group of monitors, but of course they do not travel on the territory of any given state without the knowledge of relevant authorities. So they were accompanied by the Ukrainian escort team, as those people are called. They tried 4 times, in different locations, and yes, they were not allowed to enter Crimea.
So they were already present on the territory of Ukraine. I'm just curious, why did you need this elaborate decision of the Permanent Council when these people were already on the territory of Ukraine?
There is a difference between excursion to a certain place, which is almost I'm sorry, I shouldn't use this term, almost a military tourism, and a full-fledged monitoring mission, which has a full mandate and responsibility and obligation to report. Huge difference. I'm not trying to underestimate the importance of what this group of participating states tried to do, sending their military experts to try to get access to Crimea, to see what was going on at that time. But this was different. This was a group of different military observers who, as military observers usually are, who were trained to understand the sense and the assumption of certain military activities taking place in a certain location. They couldn't do the job because they were not allowed to enter Crimea, so they were basically sent back. They came back home. But this was nothing like a mission with a mandate, with monitoring mandate and so on. This was a group of military experts. In the case of our monitoring mission, we're talking about civilian observers and civilian monitors, not military, not military, basically, on any kind of active duty. So there is a difference.
Интерфакс Украина, Игорь Соловей. Скажите, пожалуйста, вы говорите, что группа будет мониторить состояние соблюдения прав человека по передвижению, по ущемлению прав людей. Будет ли учитываться тот факт, что Украина находится фактически в состоянии конфликта вооруженного с соседней страной, и вот эти мероприятия по ограничению, в частности, ограничению передвижений через границу, являются необходимым условием для обеспечения безопасности страны? Спасибо.
Как мне, по-русски отвечать или по-английски? So I started in English, so in English. 2 things. First of all, this decision on monitoring mission, it's called special monitoring mission to Ukraine. This decision was taken at the request of the Ukrainian government. So I would assume that Ukrainian government was and is aware of restrictions that you refer to. Second, if you ask whether they will keep in mind that there are certain restrictions, their mission, their goal is to monitor, observe, and report actual discussion on their findings or what they would see will take place elsewhere in Vienna at the meetings of our Permanent Council. So I'm sure participating states will have a full picture of the situation in Ukraine whenever discussing those reports. Once more, it's not imposing any monitors on you in Ukraine. It's acting at the request and in response to the formal request from the Ukrainian authorities, from the Ukrainian government.
When do you expect the first report, any kind of interim report, to be available?
It's Tuesday today. Listen, de facto some elements of reporting, but this is about deployments we are already getting. If you ask about first kind of monitoring report, Tuesday, well, early next week. But listen, this is my personal speculation. I'm only acting chief monitor, not the chief monitor. I'm tempted to say thank you very much. That was it.
Any questions? No? Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Hope to
Thank you.
see you again. Dear colleagues, thank you very much for today. We are finishing. So you can find our schedule for tomorrow is always on our website or in our email sending. Thank you a lot.
Оставайся до завтра. В принципе, да, здесь можно